So how does it feel to run a Workaway thingy here? And from Amir's point of view, how does it feel to be a volunteer through Workaway to Greg?
I was thinking like why I love here after 2 years of a lot of Workaways and a lot of experience in Workaways. So I would say for most of the people, I give like 4.7, 6 or 7 to here from 5.
4.7 out of 5 is how you would rate this
Out of,
place.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, compared to the other Workaways.
Well, how would you rate those places?
How what?
How would you rate them? What number would you give them?
It's my feeling, but it's not like just feeling. I can say like, first you give your volunteers, not everybody give freedom, but they are more free than compared to other projects.
What do you mean?
Like you don't have a specific rules. Like you have basic rules, but we shouldn't discuss about the basic rules. So you have the basic rules, like we should polite together, we should enjoy together. We are humans. We shouldn't hurting each other. So they are basic rules.
There are only a few times I've had to pull the dictator card, as I think of it now, where I simply say, okay, this isn't up for discussion. Just fucking do it the way I want you to do it, or get the fuck out of my house. And not in those words exactly, but essentially everything up to that point is like, I don't know, what do you think about this? Well, I think we should do it like this. Well, he did it this way, and I don't like that he did it that way. And, usually I just let those situations play out and let people figure things out for themselves. But every once in a while, it just becomes clear the conversation is not going anywhere and no one is able to resolve this problem. So I just have to step in and say, well, it's my fucking house, so we're going to do it this way. Okay? There. Don't talk to me about this anymore. Basically.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen often, though.
Exactly. But most of the time, it's like, you don't say to people, you should live like this in my home. You say that, you said that, but after some problems. But in general, you don't say like, this is the rules, kitchen should be like this, or the food should be like this, or you should.
Ironically, some guests have been far more authoritarian than I have. Like some people, you know who I'm talking about, have come here and tried to immediately implement their own dictatorship in my house.
Exactly.
Like, you have to clean the kitchen like this. You have to serve lunch like this. You have to do this, and this. Why are we doing it this way? This is the way we do it in my country. Like, and I don't know where these people are getting this idea from, that it's appropriate to do that in someone else's house, especially on like your first day there, when you don't even like observe the way people are currently doing things and the systems they've implemented. Or just like even that we would care that, well, this is how we do it in my country. No one asked you. Like, that's not sufficient reason for us to implement a system simply because they do it that way in your country. Nobody fucking cares what they do in your country. But some people have just been so set on that and like offended that we didn't immediately acquiesce and say, oh yes, of course, the way however you want to do it, we'll immediately change the way we do it to make you happy. In that case, because we've had a few, 3 or 4, what I would call problematic people, I've been forced to think, what is the appropriate way to deal with that when somebody's just either not getting along well with the rest of us, not understanding our general vibe here and why we approach things a certain way, or just being actively argumentative and destructive in some kind of way, or malicious even in some cases. Not often, but that has happened, where you see clear instances of this person just wants to fucking hurt someone. And I know, like, I can't like kick people out just because they don't quite fit here, right? Like, just because someone's a bit odd or weird or doesn't quite go with the flow of things here, I can't be like, well, just get out of here because you're not a good fit here. Usually those people figure that out for themselves. First of all, they realize they're not quite happy here, and quickly they move on. But there are cases where it is appropriate to say like, no, that's not acceptable behavior. I don't want you in my house anymore, right? And again, so far only one time really that's happened, and that person also very quickly left immediately before I even had the opportunity to say like, yeah, it's just not okay. Like, I don't know why you thought that was okay, but it's not, and I don't want you in my house anymore, right? And so it's a social experiment, really. I'm learning how to manage this micro society we're building in my house, which is a really good experience for me, because for years before this, I was mostly alone, which is also a good experience. There are lots of different things being alone. And so I would never say like that socializing and extroversion were my strong suits. And so here I'm suddenly in a position of social authority over a bunch of strangers cohabitating in my house. It feels a little bit like a reality show at times. Sometimes everything's going great, and like some people know each other from other places, or we've spent months together. And sometimes one or two people show up where it's just like, I don't know why you're here. and so again, it's my job as the host and as the owner of the house to figure out, okay, what's the best solution to this, because it's clearly harming the cohesion, the social cohesion here of how happy everyone else is, just because of this one or two bad influences of these people. And so it's a dangerous precedent to set. For example, if you just say like, hey, you're kind of weird, no one likes you here, get out of here. Like, I don't want to be that guy at all. That's not at all. Like, we're all kind of weird in our own way. Most of the Armenians would consider us very strange people, right? So just being strange is not enough of a reason. It's not an offense. It's not a crime to be strange. Yet it still does need to be addressed if you're not gelling well with the rest of the community, right? And so those are the kinds of things I've had to figure out, where I don't want to be Stalin. I don't want to be the Hitler of the group, like just ordering people what to do. That, so it very rarely is that necessary, right? And I do retain that right because it is my house, right? Like, if anybody started to act like, well, it's not my house and they can do whatever they want because it's their house too, I'd probably kick them out for that, because that would be clear disrespect toward me. You're here because I have invited you here and allowed you to continue to be here. And if I change my mind because you've done something deeply offensive to me or the other people here, I do reserve the right to kick you out because it's my goddamn house, right? Hi, Rosie.
I think she's looking for the microphone, her microphone. Like, where is my mic?
Yeah, why can't I join the discussion? And so I think the primary solution to that kind of thing is just targeting and filtering certain types of people better. It should be abundantly obvious before anybody even contacts me, before I even get on a call with them. I talk to everyone on the phone before they come here, for at the very least to make sure they get to know me a little bit and know what to expect from what kind of person I am and what the environment here is, show them video of everything we're doing. And also, I just want to see if they seem like a fucking weirdo, like if it seems like they're being dishonest or hiding things from me, or we just can't communicate well. There have been a few times that I've declined people who wanted to come here, not because they thought they were bad people or something, but we just couldn't communicate in a single 5-minute conversation. It was like the details just weren't clear. When are you coming here? Are you bringing a dog with you? Are you alone? Where are you coming from? And if in 5 minutes I can't get a clear idea of who you are and what's going on, what's it going to be like with you living in my house every day, right? I have to extrapolate from that first impression. And so a few people have just said, again, no, sorry, no, I don't think it's a good fit, or we're full right now, just because, I need to feel like this is going to work out well for both of us from that first point of contact.
Exactly. And in this case, I don't feel like you should be a dictator, or dictator here should be a dictatorship. You should be the president of your home, and at the same time, you should be the officer to let the people come in. So first you ask them a lot of questions like, what is your goal? When are you coming? Are you alone or what? As the officer who you give them the visa, but they have visa and not passport. So when they come here, they cannot do whatever they want. And it's like the U.S. Constitution, which it's a free country, but not free to destroy it. Free as a freedom. And I think some people, they getting confused, or they get confused.
Very good.
Thank you. They get confused when they see freedom. Like, no one says, like, you have to cook, this is the rule, that is the rule, and volunteer living together. And sometimes if the person don't know who is the owner or who is the host, they cannot feel like you are the host, because you living like the others.
Back. Right.
And they feel like, okay, he is not rolling good the act, like, so I should be the host.
Yeah. Yes. Some people come in with this bureaucratic mindset again, thinking, well, there's no leadership here, so I need to be the leadership. And in reality, like, whenever new people get here, you've seen this plenty of times, you know, I never like tell people what to do. I always just present, well, here are some things that need to be done. Here are some more optional things that other people are working on. Here's something I think would probably be a good idea, but I don't really know how to do it. Do you have experience with painting? I've always wanted to paint this wall, you know, like, what do you think about that, right? And then from there, I mostly just leave it up to them. Like, so figure out how to be productive, you know, figure out where you would contribute best and what you wouldn't mind doing, or maybe even enjoy doing. And also, you know, you have to coordinate with the other people doing these things too. Like, if you're going to take turns cooking, then figure out who's cooking on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever. And if you don't want to cook, well, then just say that. Maybe you just really suck at cooking or really don't like it, right? But these things have to be communicated, so expectations are clearly set, so no one's expecting you to do something and then you don't do it, or too many people are doing the same thing. And for the most part, this kind of like spontaneous order, this anarchic structure without direct oversight and leadership works as long as people are mature, as long as they're communicative. Things mostly work out with very little need for someone to step in and say, actually, no, we need to focus more on this. So everybody today, this is what we're working on, right? Sometimes that happens, not often. And there have been some people who didn't quite get with that program immediately, but after we talked and explained things, then they started to contribute in a more appropriate way, probably because this was like their first time in this kind of housing arrangement. They didn't quite understand how things worked. And okay, yeah, so some people showed improvement when at first it seemed like they don't quite fit in here, right? We have very few of what I would consider hard and fast rules. On the Kalavan website, we have a page called Our Values, which I've written 5 values, which again, notice I didn't say laws or rules. I say these are things that we all willingly acknowledge are important to us, essentially. So if you come here, these things should also be important to you. And those 5 values are: number 1, fullest authentic self-expression. Seems pretty self-explanatory to me. Be yourself, basically, and don't be afraid to do what's important to you. But with the caveat of number 2, mutual respect, which means your authentic self-expression should not interfere with my authentic self-expression.
Exactly.
That one is one where people have some problems, which we've seen, like the ones who try to set rules and force people to do things. They're expressing themselves clearly, quite well actually, but they're not respecting other people's expression. They're trying to force them to be something they're not, or do something in a way they don't want to do them, right? It's another way of saying your rights end where mine begin, right? That you can do whatever you want until it starts to affect me or my property, right? Or the agreements we've made. Value number 3, radical self-inquiry. This is another one people might have trouble with. And that's that self-reflective part where if somebody tells you, we have a problem with the way you do this, here's why, you have to be willing to reflect and say, oh yeah, I guess that's not an appropriate way to act here. I should change. Some people could do that. Some people couldn't do that. Okay. Value number 4, this is probably my favorite, lifelong learning and teaching. So we have a variety of hobbies, arts, passions, crafts, some of which some people here have a great amount of professional experience in. Like for me, music is one of those things. I have a variety of musical instruments, guitars, pianos, ukuleles, violins, and I've been a music teacher for many years, and so I freely offer music instruction and group playing to anybody who wants to learn. Some people were complete beginners who picked up some new skills. Some people were intermediate or better, and we all just kind of figured out the best way to spread that knowledge and that passion around. But now I'm investing in other things I have no direct experience in, like I bought painting supplies. and I want to set up a whole art room. I've never painted a goddamn thing in my life. I admire the skill. I understand a little bit about the physical technique of it, but I can't offer a painting workshop. So, at some point, someone will come here who can do that, right? Who can, again, whether they're a professional or just an amateur who's spent a lot of time doing it, we really believe in the importance not just of being eager to learn new things, but teaching what you know, because everybody knows different things. Again, and there's this weird stigma, especially in the West, where it's like you have to be the world's leading expert or a professional teacher in order to tell other people how to do something. And in reality, as long as you know even just a little bit more than them, or you have a different set of experiences of something, even if it's not a higher amount of years, you can share what you know. And that's gradually how we just pick up new skills and ability and knowledge, right? Piece by piece, wherever we can find it. And then value number 5, which we're doing now through the Workaway program, is international community building. Which was, again, I've said previously, the primary reason I chose to move to Kalavan village was because I thought I was joining a community which frankly does not exist here. And so that's why we're building that community now from the ground up. And I really believe it has to be internationally based. It cannot just be a bunch of Armenians, partially because it'd be really hard to get a bunch of Armenians who actually value these things and believe these things. But also because we don't want it to be a strictly localized thing. We don't want it to be based on race or culture or location. It's the values you willingly adopt, such as those 5 listed here, but also many others we could go into. People bond over shared values, shared hobbies, shared goals. That's what defines a person at their core, more than race or religion, or culture or location or anything else we typically, group people together by. So wherever you come from, and I'd like to start, collaborating more with other communities, like certain ones in Georgia that you've stated, or Turkey. The more of that kind of interaction we can get going on, again, based on the right things, because we value the same things and we want to live in a similar way, that's what a real sense of community is. And in the modern world, the 21st century, everything is becoming globalized and decentralized. There's no reason our communities and our homes and our neighbors shouldn't be too.
And so maybe they are afraid of this. They can see everything is connect together now. It's not like 100 years ago, but still they afraid. And they have, you said there is no community, which I disagree, because I can see there is a community of the village people or Armenian who they are not welcoming, and this is their goal.
A closed community.
Yes. So they are like, we have our community, no foreigner, no new idea. We are the best. We are enough. We don't need nothing. So, but they hate you and they love you. They hate you because you want to change them, and they love you because they need to change. So,
yeah, a few of them see that. A few of them in the 5 years I've been here have seen that I am bringing in things that they desperately need, and that there are benefits to learning to think differently, to opening your mind, to acquiring new skills, to making friends and business partners with people that normally your parents would tell you to stay away from because they're different, right? That xenophobia that's rooted in the Armenian culture that keeps things closed off. For their own good. There's no future in staying closed off the way they have been. If they want this nation and this culture to survive, they have to open their minds and their borders and their hearts.
When you will give up?
When will you give up?
When will you give up?
When I'm dead, of course. No, the things I'm doing here are an application of my deepest intrinsic values. The fact that I happen to be in this house, in this village, in this country, that was incidental. That's just how things worked out. But I'm doing them because I have always believed these things. They have always been part of what defines me. So I'm going to use whatever resources I have available to keep doing those things to the best of my ability. Now I'm in a position in my life where I have a house in an Armenian village. It's a fairly large house that can house several people comfortably. So that's what I'm using to pursue and enact the things I value. If I were in some other position in life, then I'd be doing the best I could in that situation. Here's why I am. I've come this far. Why should I stop now?
Sad for them, good for you. At the end, good for them.
If anything, it's just their karma. They brought me here.
Mm.
I am the consequences. I am the consequence of their actions. What can I say?
But they need you, and I can see that they are thankful of your things.
For your things.
For your things.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I can see the teenagers or even the adults, mostly teenagers, they prefer to, even when we don't have something to do, and we ask them like, for 3 days or 7 days, 1 week, don't come here, but they coming at night. So they got used to be around the travelers or this community and this atmosphere. And as I hear, one of the boys said that I need to have a Workaway account. And it was like, for me, it was like, thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
They never say this, but the meaning it was thank you.
Yeah. It opened their mind to this idea that you can travel internationally, you can make friends with strangers from other countries, you can find places that will house you and take care of you. And obviously being around English speakers gives them, the teenagers here, an opportunity to learn more English because it's the only place it's being used in a practical fashion. But also it gives them a reason to want to learn English because they're seeing the practical value of all these people who speak English can show up and communicate and share ideas and tell jokes and play games and work on complex projects. So you see that they're trying to learn English now, not just because they're exposed to it, not just because they have to, but they want to now. Some of them actually ask me to correct their English. So they're past the point where, yeah, I can say it good enough that you understand me, speaking in simple little sentence fragments, this caveman English, which is functional enough. Some of them now, because they see me correcting your English, because they are, you're already good at English, but still, I'm correcting your small mistakes because you want to be better at English.
Thank you.
When they say, you're welcome, anytime. When they see that, some of the teenagers, again, who are barely functional in English, they'll say something, broken in English that I understand, but then they'll stop and say, wait, did I say that correctly? And I said, well, no, I understood you, but you should have said it like this. They're actually trying to get better at English. Like, that's a miracle. The schools could not accomplish that in a million years.
Exactly. And one of the mothers last night around the fire asked her, like, why you are not the teacher of our... And I was 100% sure that person or these people were sick of you, or why he is here. Why? How dare you offer us to be our teacher? But after a few years, now they can see the community and the benefit. They are like, they pretend like we never said that, we never think like that. Why you are not the teacher? But I'm 100% sure before they were like, why he should be the teacher? And then now they are like, oh, we need this, and thank you.
Or they see us sitting around the campfire playing instruments, having a good time at a proficient level. And I ask them, why don't you have a music program for the kids here? We don't have a teacher. Like, I live here. Have you noticed that I live within walking distance of the school and I have several musical instruments? They just can't make that connection. Well, we don't have a teacher. What can we do?
Yeah.